Once again, it's cuppa time. I'm Michael Bettine, and I'm here today with the third video of the second series on the Paiste Bronze Gongs. And today we're going to be talking about number 6 and number 8. So grab a cuppa, maybe a snack, get comfy, and we'll be right back. Here we are, third video of the series, looking at my set of Paiste Bronze Gongs that I recently received from Paiste. And what I'm going to do to compare, the number 6 is based on the standard Symphonic Gong. It's a 28-inch bronze gong, but I'm going to compare it to a 28 Jupiter Planet Gong. If you watched the series last year on the Bronze Gongs at Andy's Music in Chicago, I felt the number 6, while it was very symphonic-like, it was also very similar to the Planet Gongs in that it had a stiffer feel and yielded a very similar sort of a controlled crash that the planets have versus a symphonic. So I'm going to compare those two first, and then we'll look at number 8, which is its own animal itself. Okay, so here's the Jupiter Gong. I've had this one 17, 18 years, quite a while. I love this gong a lot. I use it all the time. I've played quite a few Jupiters, and I think this is the best one I've ever played. But part of that is because I've played it so much, I've really developed a relationship to it. So if you look back on my videos about learning to put together a gong setup, using different mallets, and others on playing the gong, you have to work at it. So I've played this one for years and years, and I really have a relationship to it. I love the sound, and it does everything I need it to do. So let's start with this one. The Jupiter Planet Gong. Now what I like about that, it has it's a deep dark center tone. We don't have all the overtones. We don't have all that whoosh coming out. It's very focused center tone, and it's a beautiful sound. It's really beautiful. A real nice hum. Now once I move out onto the face, I get more overtones and more crash, but it's not like the standard symphonic, which just really opens up. See, we still have that center tone, but now we're starting to get some harmonics. You can hear that high notes wanting to pop out, but I'm not striking it with enough force yet to really get it to open. Now we start to get the gong to bloom, the sound to really open and bloom. Not much more high end. There's still that sort of pedal tone in the middle here. Really a beautiful, controlled sort of crash. As I said in one of the previous Bronze Gong videos, I think of the Symphonic Gong as opening up and the sound spraying out. It's just very open sort of gong. Where I feel this, in the Planet Gongs, they're much more controlled, and the sound is compact, and it tends to stay here, and it stays focused. that's why I like to use my 32-inch Symphonic and then the 28-inch Jupiter in my setup, because the Symphonic, it's a little bigger, it gives me a little deeper tone, gives me that big spread and that big crash with all the highs and all that sort of Paiste sound. Where this, it's a little higher in pitch and it gives me a much more controlled sound. I think they make a good balanced pair. Very controlled. The sound opens up, but it doesn't do that. It still stays focused. So I love that gong. Now let's look at number 6. And if you've seen the previous one on creating a gong setup, where I'm talking about moving from my old setup and integrating some bronze gongs into it, you'll know that I've decided to use the number 6 in place of the Jupiter, because I find they bring a very similar character to what I'm doing. Both 28 inches. This is bronze, so it's going to have a nice darker sound to it. Still that very focused center. A little more highs coming out versus the same force over here. You can tell there's a different tonality there. Up much more like a symphonic, but I think it still has a bit of the control of the Planet. It opens up, but it still seems focused. Isn't that just the most amazing crash sound? I love this gong, and out of all 7, this was my second choice for a favorite gong, and it is. I love this gong. I can't wait to be working with it at gigs. I just think the sound is extraordinary. one thing I have to say though, with the brilliant, mirror-like finish, it's been a little strange to stand in front of one at face level and see myself in the reflection. That's something just to get used to. But this gong is outstanding. I think for anybody who already has a setup and is looking for something in sort of a big, dark crash gong to add up to their, to add to what they already have, the number 6 is a great choice. It gives you that symphonic kind of planet sound, but it's very dark, especially for a 28-inch gong, and it's just a beautiful sound. The bronze, it has a whole different character than any of the nickel silver gongs I've played. The number 6, extraordinary. Let's look at the back of this one here. Like I said, nobody ever shows the backs. It just looks very much like a standard Planet or Symphonic Gong, only you get that beautiful dark kind of reddish bronze look to the metal. The number 6, based off a symphonic, having the best traits of the symphonic, and I feel some of the traits of a similar Planet Gong, but just having an amazing, deep, full, gorgeous sound, the crash and everything. One of my favorites here. Okay, now let's move on to number 8, which is one of the new creations. Entirely new design, and this is a beast. This is a really strange gong. Again, I've been online. I've listened to every Bronze Gong video out there. Videos from Mexico, Germany, Sweden, Italy, Australia, Canada, the US, and the gongs vary a lot, especially the number 8. And I've also noticed there really is 2 different types of number 8s out there. And I'm putting together a PDF if anybody's interested. I'm kind of my research into these gongs and my feelings, and I'll post that, I'll link to that in a later gong video, and I'll also post it on my Facebook page and that for people. But I've found there's 2 distinct types of number 8, and I believe the one I have is possibly the earlier type. I'm not sure, but I don't have dates on the other ones. But if you look at these ridges, they're very rounded, and they're very large hammer marks in the ridge and the trough in between. Very large hammer marks. Now there's another style. If you go on the Memphis Gong Chamber and check out some of their number 8 gongs, there's a different style of number 8 where they used a much smaller hammer, both from the back making the ridge and on the front making the trough, and these are more V-shaped. So there's a big difference. Those type, again, it's more of a V shape, where these are more of a rounded shape. So there's a big difference, and I've also noticed there's a big sound difference between them. So obviously they have been experimenting with these gongs, working with them, trying to find possibly an optimal shape and or sound out of them. I'm not sure which shape is earlier, but I've seen more of the V-shaped ones, so I would suspect this might be an earlier version, and then they changed to smaller hammers and more of a V shape in the rings as opposed to the rounded rings with the really big hammering. And we might as well look at the back. could probably get a better look at how that is. I'll try to kind of move it around here. If you can see, those are fairly rounded and large hammerings. I wish I had one of the number 8s, the different ones, to compare it to show you. But like I said, go on YouTube, take a look for yourself at some of the other number 8s out there. And they are distinctly different in how they're hammered. Neither better nor worse, just something different, I guess. So anyway, this, like I said, this is it's a strange beast. Let me get the big one here. Some of the others I've heard really have a lot of harmonics that come out. Some of them don't. This one doesn't yet. And I say yet because I think over time I can sense that the metal wants to release a higher harmonics. I think over time in playing I might be able to get there. I've done that with other gongs that were very stiff at first, and through playing and use they loosened and opened up. I suspect this one will, especially because Eric Paiste said they're going to change over time. And I do plan doing another series in like 6 months. And I'll probably put clips from here next to clips from there and compare. Have the gongs changed? How have they? So look for that in early 2022. So anyway, number 8, extremely interesting looking gong. I was attracted to the look right away. It's very different. I've never seen anything like this. The old Sound Creation series had the little 20-inch fire gong that had some deep spokes running out of it, I guess you could call it, from the center. But nothing quite like this. Steve Huback has made, his, the Illuminator series of gongs that is kind of a octagonal gong with deep bridges on it that go out from the center. And some of his other creations, I think I've seen a few other independent gong makers do something similar, but this is a whole new thing for Paiste. Very focused sound in the center. Some harmonics. Again, like in the water gong video, I can sense this compactness of the sound where it's just holding it in here. Sort of tone. Let's move out on the ridges. A few more overtones coming out, but still very stiff. And I can hear, I don't know if you can hear over YouTube, but there's some high harmonics just picking up in there, and I feel like they want to be released. So as I said, I think over time, playing this, getting the metal to settle and loosen up some, I think it should open up more. Now some of the other gongs, especially the more triangular shaped design with the small hammering, much more harmonics out here. You hit it and it just, and some of them I've heard have just like amazing sort of bright harmonics jump out. This gong, I feel, wants to release all that sound, but it's just not settled enough yet. There's the potential. This gong has great potential. I love the center sound. I've never heard a gong with a sound like that, so this is great. It's something different. And even I've had these gongs for like 10 days now, I think. Even in those 10 days, this has opened up some more. It was much stiffer when I got it, and playing on the ridges, I really didn't get anything out of it. Now it's starting to open up. So as I said, I see a lot of potential in it. I think over time it should open up, and hopefully the sound will bloom more and give me those harmonics that seem to want to be coming out. There's that high note that wants to be out. It's not quite jumping out. Now uniquely, I think the center sound here is a better water gong sound than the number 2 and 4 compared to the Sound Creation water gong. It's just that really calm, focused, tight sound. I love it. I love that sound. It's great. So let's try it with some other mallets. Now there you could hear some of the potential. Started opening up. We got some highs in there. But I really had to work it. I really had to lay into it to get that to come out. I think with the design, with the concentric rings, it's never going to be a big crashy gong. Because that makes it extremely stiff, these rings. They really stiffen it up. So it's never going to be very crashy. You know, not like the symphonic type here, the number 6, or the number 9, which is extremely crashy. It's never going to have that big crash to it. But once this opens up a little more, it's going to have just enough harmonics, I think, to really give it this kind of a breathy, well, not quite breathy, but it's just this kind of really controlled crash, which will be short and just almost like there's a gate on it. You know, if you're into recording and you put a gate on an instrument to cut off the sound. But that sound alone is just wonderful. It's a fairly short sustain on that sound. It really dies out quickly. And you can hear it. It wants to open up some more. It's just not ready. symphonic chime. So there you have it. Number 8, number 6 in the Paiste Bronze Gong series. Next time we'll look at 2 number 9s and see how they compare and contrast. As always, subscribe below, hit the notification bell. If you want to know when the next video is out, please leave comments, questions, suggestions, anything. I love it. I love having the dialogue with everybody out there. As I said in an earlier video, I don't want to just be talking to myself up here. I really like to have the dialogue. And if you have suggestions for future videos, what do you want to know? As it is, I'm telling people the stuff that I know. But if you have something you want to know, specific questions, let me know, and we'll see if we can get to it. All right, have a good one. We'll see you on the next It's Cuppa Time.